Hello guys and welcome back to Big Brother Review, and there's a lot to talk about today. We've got a school themed challenge. We've got a little bit of arguments happening between the different housemates, and we've also got the return of the dreaded face to face nominations, which cause huge problems for the entire house. Now, let's jump straight into the school challenge because there's a lot to talk about in this episode, and I got to kind of whiz through the school stuff before I can get to the face-to-face nominations. So, Big Brother announced that they were turning the house into an academy, and Miss Nocky would be the deputy head, and Mr. Jordan and Mr. Henry would be the heads of departments, and they would have to lead lessons for the children. And I gotta say, I don't think they could have picked a more perfect role for everybody in the house. Like, the three people that were made the teachers were the exact people I would have chosen, and the kids were the exact people I would have chosen to be the kids. So I feel like they did a really, really good job there. So yeah, well done on the casting. And the first thing that they had to do was I think Jordan had to lead a lesson in like basics of law, and he was like, what does law mean to you? And there was just a lot of funny backwards and forwards, and yeah, Yinran mentioned something like law is love, and Jordan went, no, that's not right. There was also an interesting conversation that Jenkins started about game playing and how he believes that everyone should be here for the experience and not for the 100k. And Jordan just clapped back with, well, this is a game show. And then Jenkins was like, well, if you're playing a game, then it makes people feel like your relationships with them aren't genuine. And it was really strange because it seems like he was very much targeting Jordan for potentially using Henry. But again, I've spoken at length on this. I don't think that's what's happening, and I think there's a moment later on in the episode that very much proves it. And I don't understand why Jenkins was egging them on yesterday, and now he's condemning Jordan. He's sitting there going, no, like, I think actually what you did was wrong, and you're playing a game and you're messing with other people's feelings. And I was like, do you think that potentially Jenkins went into the house believing that he would be the only gay in the village, and he thought that he would be the sort of gay icon from this series, and instead it's actually turned out to be our bi queen Jordan? Do we think that there's maybe an element of jealousy that Jordan isn't maybe concocting a love triangle, he just has fallen into one, but Jenkins is viewing it as a manufactured process because potentially he was planning on manufacturing something in the house? You never know, but I think there is definitely an ounce of jealousy there. The kids were being really, really disruptive to the point where I think Henry threw an egg at Tom. And then during break time, they were outside just playing about. And then Henry went out and they tied him up with a skipping rope whilst the rest of the teachers were in the staff room. Oh my goodness, it was quite entertaining to watch. And like, I know everyone's been kind of tough on the whole sort of like the tasks and the challenges. They're getting a bit repetitive, and like they're not needed every single episode, but like this one was very, very entertaining. Even if like it had no bearing on anything whatsoever, it was still entirely entertaining. The third part of the sort of task slash challenge slash event that was happening in the house was Henry's wine tasting class, and there were a couple of interesting quotes that I noticed. Henry said something like, oh, you've got to spit or swallow wine, and he was asked whether he spits or swallows, and he said swallows. And then Jordan piped up and went, oh, what did he say? He said something like, I can confirm, or don't I know it, or something like that. And I was wetting myself. This, oh my goodness, it's so funny. It just is so funny. I don't believe that the wine was very nice. It looked quite cheap wine, but I'm not expecting Big Brother to be getting like Chateau de whatever. I can't remember the name of the posh wines. Oh, that was embarrassing. Ah, it was like in my brain and then it just did not come out of my mouth. Um, but yeah, so that was quite an entertaining part of the episode. And then there was a school disco, and there was just a lot of really, really fun moments. And it really sort of helped solidify the fact that I feel like the house is very much united once again. And I think that's really nice because it's been so divided for the last couple of weeks, and in the last week, it is now unified. However, that unity was not going to last very long, and I don't know why anybody expected it to, because halfway through the school disco, Big Brother sat them down, handed out envelopes, and told them to nominate each other face to face. And as we know, face to face nominations cause upset. My favourite memory of face to face nominations was in the Channel 5 days when it was the Big Brother, was it season 17? Whatever season was Gemma Collins' season. And they all nominated Tiffany, or loads of people nominated Tiffany, and she was kicking off. That is one of my favourite memories of face-to-face nominations because it's just so entertaining to watch. And I gotta say, this did not disappoint in the slightest. Henry was up first nominating, and he chose Jenkin because he feels like Jenkin casts a bit of a negative spell over the house. And he also chose Noki because he feels like he's getting a PR'd version of her. And I've got to say, props to him for saying that to her face, because I feel like a lot of people, especially in this face-to-face nominations, have been nominating people behind their backs, but not necessarily nominating them to their face. And there were a lot of moments where I was like, oh, that could have come across really bad, but then the person it was about nominated them back with very similar reasons. So I feel like it's face-to-face nomination confirms a lot of things. It confirms sort of whose alliances are with who is sort of close, who is not very close. I was disappointed that Henry didn't vote Tom, but I feel like Henry has had a couple of conversations that have brought him closer to Tom, whereas sort of I don't necessarily think he's still as close with Noki as he would like to be. And as for Jenkin, it's a case of process of elimination. I'm close with this person, not close with you. Sorry, you're up for nomination. Jenkin was up next, and he voted for Jordan because he doesn't feel like he sees eye to eye with him and feels like the sarcasm can be a little bit too much and doesn't feel like he has any genuine conversations with him. And he also voted for Henry because he feels like he's not seeing the true Henry, and that they haven't really had any genuine conversations or anything like that. So again, Henry voted for Jenkin voted for Henry. I can see how that works. That's fine. But I also found it really weird because he voted for Jordan and Henry, the two people that he was egging on yesterday. So like Jenkin's nominations feel very strange and very odd, but what can you do? There's not really much you can say, really. Jordan voted for Jenkin, just like Jenkin voted for Jordan, and he basically said that he feels like Jenkin is not his cup of tea, and he also feels like Jenkin cares more about the love triangle and the game playing than Jordan does. And it's very interesting because he was like, you accused me of game playing, so now I'm just playing the game and voting for you. And I thought, you know what, good on you, Jordan, because Jenkin has been coasting the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like, I don't think anybody aside from maybe Tom and Chanel have built like close bonds with him. Maybe Olivia, but like Olivia I feel like is friends by circumstance, and like she's lost the rest of her friends, and now these are the closest people that she has in the house. Whereas like there are people in that house who have genuinely made friendships, and oh yeah, bye Jenkin, bye. And Jordan's second vote was Olivia, and he basically voted Olivia because he feels like he's just not connected with her. They have a conflicting sense of humour, and the sort of the reactions that he gets from her sometimes are not always the ones that he expects, and he feels like she can be a bit unpredictable sometimes, which I think is fair. Matty was up next and he voted for Jenkin because he feels like the mood can sometimes affect the household. Like whether if Jenkin's happy, then the house will be happy. If Jenkin's sad, then the house can be brought down by that. And he also voted for Olivia. Gotta hand it to him. He is stuck by Olivia, voting for Olivia every single week since the first week. And crazy, absolutely crazy, because I feel like you should have voted Tom, but obviously Matty and Tom have got this weird sort of like, oh, we both have mullets, and it's like, ugh. So anyway, so Olivia got a vote, and yeah, fair enough. A similar reason, she's loud, she's obnoxious. He said that in like the last week they have been getting closer, but obviously, like I said earlier with Henry, if it's the person that you're least connected to out of a group of 7, then there's not really much you can do about it. Interestingly, Noki voted for Henry for the exact same reason that he voted for her, that she feels like he's giving a PR'd version and isn't necessarily being authentic. And she also voted for Tom because of the situation with Paul, and she feels like their friendship has never been able to blossom because he's clung on to the hatred that Paul had for her. And I can understand that. I think that's fair votes. I'm surprised Tom didn't get more votes, but hey ho, there's not really much we can do about that. He just sucks. He actually sucks. He's a horrible person. I'll get into that a little bit later, but ugh. Olivia voted for Matty, just like Matty voted for Olivia, and she basically said that she feels like she's 4 weeks behind knowing him because they've only just gotten to know each other in the last like week, and I think that's fair. She also just thinks that they have conflicting personalities and they don't necessarily gel. And Jordan, she said like out of everyone, she said she'd miss him the least, potentially, because there are other people that she'd rather stay, which absolutely fair and valid, you know what I mean? Tom voted for Noki. He was basically just questioning the integrity and sort of whether she's being 100% genuine. Again, I understand that. I think that everyone's kind of had concerns about that. I personally do not have those concerns anymore because, especially since she came out of her shell around Halloween, I feel like I've really gotten to know her, and I'm very happy she's making it to the top, like 6. She's making it to the finale because I think she does deserve it, and she's been through a fuck ton of shit in this house and not necessarily deserved it. As for his second nominations, he voted for Jordan for basically just being a game player and not necessarily being authentic, etc., etc. Yawn-worthy nominations from Tom, I gotta say, but what are we expecting from Paul 2.0? And our last person was Yinren, and she voted for Jenkin and Tom, basically for similar reasons to the others. She doesn't really feel connected to them. She feels like they are the most distant from her because of who she's friends with, and she also feels like Tom makes a lot of awkward jokes and makes her feel uncomfortable in social situations. So that was basically her reason for for wanting to get rid of him. So at the end of nominations, Jenkin ended up on 4 votes. Jordan ended up on 3, and then let me see if I remember this. Tom, Noki, Henry, and Olivia all ended up on 2 points, and then Matty ended up on 1. Yinren had no votes. And Big Brother announced that 3 people must face eviction. So the people with the fewest amount of votes, Matty and Yinren, would have to decide out of the 4 people with 2 votes who would be facing eviction. And I gotta say, this was cruel. This was a cruel thing to ask Yinren and Matty to do, who I gotta say are probably the nicest people in the house, and who, like, I probably don't have any bad blood in them. And to get them to nominate one person to face eviction was tough. And it basically boiled down to Tom versus Olivia. Matty wanted to put Olivia up for nomination. Yinren wanted to put Tom up for nomination. But obviously, Matty was basically... I feel like Matty was doing this on purpose, and it was starting to bug me. But he was basically making Yinren make the decision, being like, oh, if you want to go for Tom, we'll go for Tom. If you want to go for Tom, we'll go for Tom. And Tom was basically sitting there going, just say my name, just say my name. And then when they eventually said his name, he was so pissed off and fuming, and Yinren was crying, bless her. Yeah, she was wailing a little bit, but if you're in that situation and you're having to decide which of your friends in the house you're having to put up for nomination, it's tough. It is. It's not fun in the slightest. And she was crying because she's being forced to put in the position. She's being made to be put in the position of, I am putting someone up for eviction. I'm not just nominating someone, I'm putting them up for eviction. Essentially putting them in jeopardy of ending their game. And Tom was sitting there going, oh, I'm not going to go and console her if she's crying like this. And I was just like, you're being a dickhead because it's a game. Are you here to win? Because if you were actually just here for the experience, you wouldn't be getting angry right now, because you and Jenkin have been all about the experience since day one. But suddenly, when it comes to your game being in jeopardy, you're kicking off and you're upset. So, like, what's up with that? Do you want to win the 100k or do you not want to win the 100k? What's up with that? Come on. And then Big Brother dropped the bombshell that all 3 of those housemates were being evicted there and then. Although I have to say, the way they did it was a bit shit, I thought. They had them leave through the diary room, which I think if I was in the house, I would have gone, why are they going through the diary room? Like, well, to be fair, Kerry left through the task room, so like I can understand it, but like even I was sitting there sort of like, why are they leaving through the diary room? Like, obviously I knew they weren't going because it's a fake eviction and they're sat in a spare room where they can watch the housemates for the next like couple of days until 2 out of the 3 get evicted. But it was still a very, very interesting choice for Big Brother to have them leave through the diary room. But then I guess they wanted to talk to them, etc., etc., whatever. However, this is where things start getting really, really nasty, and this is where I started to kick off because fucking Tom, had some really, really nasty moments that we saw, and one of them was on Late and Live, so I'll talk about that very briefly. One of them was basically they went outside, not they went outside. Tom and Jenkin were watching the rest of the housemates go outside, and they were going, "We miss you, Tom. We miss you, Jenkin." And then Henry was like, "I miss you, Jordan," or something like that. And then he relayed that information back to Jenkin, and then Jordan came back in the room and went, "Oh, what did I miss?" And Tom went, "Nothing. You missed nothing. They don't even care that we've gone." And I was like, "You nasty little bastard! Like, you have finally decided to grow a personality, and it's an ugly one." And it's so unfortunate because like Tom was one of those people that for the first 3 weeks I was like, if he goes, he goes. But like the last 3 weeks since Paul has left, since Paul has just started his riot, and then like he left, he's just been unbearable. He had one good episode last night, and then that was it. Not last night, Sunday night, and that was it. Face-to-face nominations have happened, and he's lost the plot. So like, unfortunately, I think Tom and Jordan are going to go. I think Jenkin's going to sail back into the house, unfortunately, and Jordan's going to be eliminated, when realistically the real vote here is getting Jenkin and Tom out. We had our chance to get Tom out on Friday. People got Trish out. Fair enough. Now we need to get Jenkin out, because I'm not being funny. How can you justify Jordan leaving over Jenkin and Tom? Like, I actually can't fathom it. Like, seeing how everyone's sort of accusing him of gameplay, but then when his game was supposedly over and he believed he was leaving, he still went up and had a tender moment with Henry, kissed him, hugged him, said goodbye. You could tell he was genuinely upset. So I don't understand how people can still call him a game player and how he's using Henry, because I do think there's something genuine there, and it might have just taken him a while to figure it out, because some people don't know straight away. Some people have to take time to process their feelings, and I feel like other people are being very, very unfair about this. Oh, very passionate rant from me right there. So that's all we've got time for today. It looks like we'll see another episode of Jordan, Jenkin and Tom in the spare room watching the house tomorrow. and then the eviction will be done live on Late and Live. So tomorrow we will find out which two housemates will be leaving. I have a feeling it's going to be Tom and Jordan, which is going to suck, but there's not really much we can do about it, if I'm being honest. I feel like just Jenkin has not enough hate behind him, but also not like a lot of support. I don't know. It's going to be difficult, but either way, thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Keep on ranting. Bye now.